I'm out. I'm out. Come on. Nick, help me. I'm out. Come out. Come out. Come on.
Okay.
There
It's
we
on.
go. Oh, he's no.
Oh.
He's shy. Come out. Come out. Come on.
You can do it.
Oh, bless. He'll come out in his own time.
All right. All right. We'll leave him to it then.
I feel that this should be for the vampire thing more than this.
Probably. Yeah. It would make more sense.
Actually,
Would make a lot more sense.
that would.
But anyway,
I could have been the little vampire, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh
well.
yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Throw it on the pile of missed opportunities of life.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reason I'm down here, by the way. It was just an accident earlier on before we started recording that I decided to carry on with.
Darren, don't destroy the map. That's for the making of doc that I
Yes.
was.
Sorry,
that's for your commentary track
Yes,
on
that's
video.
That's the Blu-ray extras. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing the commentary track, and I'm going to explain what each and every one of these boxes behind me is and all that.
I actually would be quite interested to know that, because I've been looking at those boxes for quite a few years.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The Blu-ray demand for it, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. What's this then? Well, it's in ShawScope.
What? Oh, we don't still do that, do we?
Yeah. Yes. 25 years on.
Oh,
all
right.
We still do it. Yeah.
Because we kind of went into a fairly moist cul-de-sac. We were directed in there for quite a long time.
It was a moist, gummy, plummy cul-de-sac, wasn't it?
Gummy especially. Yes.
Yeah.
But we're back. We're back to
we've changed
to
into a new pair of blue jeans, and we're out the other side, back to good old hardcore Shaw for a while. I don't think. I mean, I just realized that's one thing I forgot to do. I'm hoping one of you might have looked up if there's any historical basis for one of the films we're going to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I had
absolutely.
a little tiny little look, yeah.
Okay, and does it lead to another 50 films?
That's what I think we need to do the work, because if it does, that might be really interesting.
Okay, so there we go. So yes, enjoy good old In ShawScope while you can. We're going to be back in not. So there we go. That portion of the show we'll leave up to you to fill in then, because I one thing I forgot to get around to. Anyway, 1964. And we might as well do that one first then. This is our historical epic, and despite what says on the Hong Kong Movie Database, this is not an opera.
No.
It's just a straight up historical, I suppose it's sort of a mini epic of sorts, and this is The Last Woman of SHANG.
Also, just Daji, the name of our Lin Dai character.
Or what was it called? I didn't write it down, but it's got another title over at the Korean Movie Database, because it is indeed a Korean co-production as well, a proper Korean co-production. This one, as directed by Griffin Yue Feng, who we spoke about before, Madam Whitesnake 62, and Lady General Hua Mulan, right?
And Golden Lotus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And co-produced Run Run Shaw and the legendary Shin Sang-ok, who was, of course, I mean, if nothing else, would have been known for being instrumental pioneer of the Korean film industry. That alone would be, noteworthy. But of course, he also goes and gets kidnapped by Kim Jong-il and over to North Korea to make Pulgasari and all those.
Okay.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the man himself.
So, Linda, once again.
For almost the last time, right?
Yeah.
Two or three more, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think she, before this was released, she had died. So like this was definitely a posthumous release.
Right. And shall I do a kind of very brief plot rundown, because it's relatively simple. Right? So we're in is it Tang Dynasty era?
The last woman of Shang, I think you'll find, is the title, Clive. So
well,
Shang
that's the
Dynasty.
thing, it's Shang, but then they say Tang, and then I read Ting now and again.
Pretty sure it's supposed to be Shang.
But when's the Shang Dynasty then? Do we know?
Oh, it's like 400 BC or something. It's like, it's old.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a very very arrogant king.
Yep.
As played by, this is so there's a couple of kind of, because it's a co-production, there's a couple of Korean superstars here, right? Apparently, so that I think the king is played by Shin Yong-gun or Shin Yong-kyun.
Yeah.
And again, you won't find that. There's a few titles on Hong Kong Movie Database, because obviously it was in a few co-productions, but yeah, in a shitload of Korean things. Actually, that might lead us to a bit of a rabbit hole as well, actually, between the two of them. So Shin Yong-gyun, and he's a very, very arrogant king who, is all about, well, just commanding. He basically wants to collect taxes, really, isn't he, in the forms of tribute from people all around, despite the fact that there's been floods and famines and all that, and ignores the advice of his kind of kindly
counselors.
Yeah, especially Tian Fing, right?
Yeah. Who was just fucking born old.
I think so.
I mean,
Right.
we saw him. I think he's in one of the earlier films we watched for the In ShawScope podcast, which I want to say was, no, I've forgotten the title. Anyway, it was the one where Lindai hangs herself off a tree. What one's that?
All right. Again, a legendary woman.
Yeah. But that was really like 1961 or 60 or something. And that's like one of his first films, and he looks fucking old in that. And I'm sure he's in his like late 20s when he's playing this role.
Yeah, I think it's like the Max von Sydow Exorcist thing, isn't it? He finally ends up with actually being that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our other main Korean actor, Nam Kung Won, who was in it did star in another Shaw one, which we couldn't get our hands on, Special Agent X7A from 1966, which I'd like to see, but I don't think we'll be able to get a copy of that. And he's the son of, is he Tian Feng's son? Or Chang?
No, he's the advisor's son. So
Chang
he's
Miao then.
So he's Ching Miao's son, who's like the old worthy retainer's son, isn't he?
Yeah, and they have I suppose what they call now, I don't like this phrase, but it's a meet cute with Linda Lindai bonding over their love of lute playing, right? And all that.
Yeah.
And yes, and but the king is this king is so horrible. He has Lindai's advisor, Viscount character father killed. She basically vows vengeance, which she decides to do from the inside, right? So she kind of pretends, which she doesn't, but she becomes his queen, and it's all very flirtatious and and all that. and plays the long game, and eventually, but the thing is, along the way, he falls for her hard, right? And he starts doing things like, but particularly he wants to build. I quite like this part. He wants to build the star grabbing tower,
star
star
plucking
plucking tower,
yes.
yeah. Which is a
Yes.
bit like, it's like a cross between, I don't know, the guy who built the Taj Mahal and the Tower of Babel or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because she wants to get a star plucked out of the sky, so he builds a thing, and there's of course a massive amount of slave labor and lots of money goes into this thing. So yes, the Nam Kun Won and his father, who's been imprisoned, their characters are like, well, we have to kill her, right? Because she's leading the country to destruction because he's doing all, and they don't realize that she's an insider and all this kind of thing. And that's kind of the basic direction of the plot, right? And and along the way, there's also some very impressive big kind of battle sequences and things, and it even begins with like this kind of gladiatorial battle with a beheading that leads to. I quite like that. There's like starts off with like just one-on-one, and then as soon as the first blood is drawn, then these two armies just run at each other, don't they? So what did we make of the Last Woman of Shang then, lads?
Darren, you want to take it away?
Yeah, I fucking like this one. I had a whale of a time looking at this because I thought that, first of all, it's got that scope, and like we've said before in a lot of these films, all the sets are still new, so they still look really impressive. It's got quite an epic feel to it because there are lots of extras. Not lots of battles, but the battles that are there are quite grand in scope. Lindai's doing her usual amazing thing that we have come to love. And there's a nice little bit of violence from time to time as well. There's a little bit of gore here and there. Someone cuts their own heart out, and there's 2 beheadings at least in it, and a bit of cannibalism. And it's but no, and I think I quite like it because it's an hour and a half as well, so it's not like there's any padding in it. It's quite lean.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of refer to it as a mini epic, because there's a lot of shit going on, and like it's a very handsomely mounted. Everything looks great, and the music is like, I wrote it down. Wang Fuling. I wrote it down just because at times it sounded like some of James Bernard's like Hammer themes.
Yeah.
Every now and again, it sounded like Ifukube Akira, and it was just a very big kind of orchestral score that really drove some scenes. And like you said, there's big things happening, and but it's not, it doesn't take up like 3 hours of your time or anything, and it doesn't need to. It's just it's a good. It's not quite classic, but it's solid. It's a good film.
I had a question about the music actually, just because it did make it. I wrote in my notes, like, when was the transition over to stealing cues? Because that's something that we haven't seen. I'm realizing at any of this stuff up to 64, the music has all seemingly, to my ear, been composed and produced for the films, and yet we know at some point in the 70s we're going to start seeing more and more music being lifted. From
but you don't necessarily want to be confusing your independent productions with Shaw, right?
But it's Shaw as well, though.
Well, Shaw did do it, but I think more Magpie-like to rather than just full on. But no, it is a good question though. At what point did they look over at the music budget and time to call Frankie?
I do wonder Shaw's did it at all. I can't think of any examples where Shaw's were.
Mad Max, the Mad Max score shows up in quite a lot of the early 80s. Because they were the first ones I watched. They were the first Shaw Brothers I watched.
So I agree with Nick. I can't think of any concrete examples, but it definitely has happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I think it's probably a late stage thing, and possibly even in a response to a response to all these cool soundtracks that keep popping up in the independent films,
right?
As well. But I don't know. But yeah,
who knows? Maybe this entire score is actually ripped off.
I mean, it could be
that we don't know what it is.
yeah,
Ben
yeah.
But I also really enjoyed this. It's funny. In a way, it seemed like it had stuff to say. Like it had stuff to say about how you go about having a revolution, right? Because in this film, they posit that basically Linda Lindai's character is like, what if Marie Antoinette had been fully aware of what she was doing? It was like that. It was a directed intent. So I'm going to make this this monarchy or this regime look so shitty that the people will have to rise up against it and tear it down. And I'm going to do that by appearing to be for everyone else as some kind of monster. Which is interesting because if you do read a little bit about her, this is kind of a rehab piece, this movie, because apparently, according to Chinese history or folk history, she's a complete monster.
Well, here we go. This is what I was wondering, because this is what we went through before when we did the thing that's name escapes me. Remember, we watched a few films about Empress
Three Kingdoms.
Rule, right?
Oh, Empress Rule,
yes, exactly.
And a similar thing about, we were talking about how depending on who's in charge or her reputation goes up and down. So is the Queen Sue character here historically, is that a similar story where some people have put her in a good light, put her in a bad light, up and down over the years?
It seems to me that this film is the outlier in terms of
really?
That she's almost always presented as an absolute monster. In fact, many of the things that are ascribed to him in the film, in the historical record or in the folklore record, are ascribed to her, like having someone's heart cut out, like a good man's heart cut out, because a saint's heart has 8 valves or whatever. That's something that she ordered done. She ordered a pregnant woman to be cut open so that she could like play with the baby while it was still in the womb. She's like this long list of insane stuff. That's like, she invented something called like the bronze toaster, which is a bronze cylinder covered in oil, heated like a furnace with charcoal underneath it, and then the victim has to walk on top of the slowly heating cylinder. Like it just goes on. Like her entire Wikipedia is just a list of torture. She's like Countess Bathory.
That's like that bronze bull thing. That sounds like, when they put someone inside the bronze bull and heat it up from the. Oh, that's interesting. So, did you at all make any note of maybe some other Queen Sue? If that's, what are we looking for in Wikipedia? Is it Queen Sue?
Oh, so it'll be. Hang on. You just look at Daji. D-A-G-I.
Oh, okay.
J-I.
And there are other films.
But that's the thing. So I haven't actually looked down, but we.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look at that either. Yeah, I just looked at the history rather than bouncing off films.
She's also considered to be a fox spirit, a 9-tailed fox spirit. There's a whole thing about that.
Well, that's interesting, because there's a one of our spin-offs I was thinking of going into anyway for Shin Yong-gyun. He was in another Shin Sang-ok film, which is very highly regarded from the late 60s, called 1,000 Years Fox. So I was thinking we might do that.
Yeah.
Could do a bit of Korean fantasy.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that, and then there's a few other bits, both between him and Nam Kung Won are in some kind of quite interesting sounding films. So, we got, as Nick likes to tell us, he's got loads of time on his hands. So
I do.
Yeah, no problem doing that.
Actually, on that, sorry.
I was going to say the other thing. Two other things that are ascribed. So apparently, the tower is not mentioned here, like the Tower to the Stars, which is an awesome conceit. But apparently, he did construct a swimming pool full of alcohol and a forest of meat, which I don't even know what the fuck that is. And they would gather people there, and it was a bit like what was the guy with his island, the Roman emperor, Tiberius. He would invite groups of people there, and they would kind of like hunt nude around. But anyway, she apparently was the one.
That was Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's the lineage here directly from these figures. But no, she was the one who apparently had somebody ground up and put into, gyoza or shumai or whatever as well, according to it's. So a lot of the stuff that she's kind of a victim of in this she's supposed to have been the perpetrator of in the stories about her. So
there's got to be some. There has to be something out there. There's got to be some villainous, evil fox spirit queen film out there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. I'll have a little poke about, and then maybe we'll get a cluster of them together, and then maybe we can because obviously we don't really have much context for this, whether this is entirely a revisionist or if this is closer to the truth or whatever it is, right? So yes, hopefully we'll be able to clear up. We're only reacting to this film as is at the moment, right? And we seem to have all, yeah, pretty much enjoyed it.
I always like how fucking post-apocalyptic these early Chinese films seem to me. Like there's this real Mad Max, like feuding warlords, like that opening scene where like his head just gets hacked off and lands in the sand, and then every time you see people riding with these big winged helmets, kind of just growling and guttural, it's fucking awesome.
I like how you've flipped it. So rather than, I like how those Mad Max films have taken some elements of history. You've decided that history is copied Mad Max.
Yes, that's my understanding of how that works.
Yeah. And the music later on, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all new Mad Max coming our way as well, right?
This weekend opens here, I think. So
in fact, I can see Nam Koon Won. He's a bit like Tom Hardy, isn't he? Yeah. He's quite beefy. He's quite. I quite liked him. I thought he was pretty good presence and a bit of a bruiser kind of persona, didn't he?
Also, if you could get away with still doing Yellowface, Anya Taylor-Joy would be a pretty good Queen Sue as well, actually.
Nice.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Anya Taylor-Joy is good in everything.
Yes. We're not gonna. There's two fans here, Darren. There's two fans here.
Yeah.
The new Barbara Steele.
As we've mentioned before. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
But politically, I was really interested in this idea of this whole thing of like, because it's this age-old argument between like revolutionaries of whether or reformers, reform versus revolution. Like, do you ameliorate the suffering of the masses, or do you just let things go to complete fucking shit in the hopes that the people will have no choice but to rise up? And basically, this movie is about these two approaches, right? We have the kindly old counselors who are like, no, we must stop him from hurting the people, but we don't want to tear the whole thing down. And then you've got Linda Lin Dives like, burn it all down, smash everything, and I'm going to do it my way. And it's pretty cool. And it ends in a glorious like inferno of just malice and hate. And like, I really like this. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's kind of got everything, isn't it? And I don't think that the influence of Hammer is entirely distant from this either, because the blood and gore is just the right color.
Yeah.
The kind of the dramatic music, and particularly that last scene when they're upstairs in the palace where everything's coming down, everything's burning and coming down, and you've got this kind of completely unhinged, kind of rageful Linda Lin Di saying, "Yeah, I did this," tell them it was me, kind of moment.
It's interesting, there's a slight tangent here, but just consider it. It's odd, really, in a way that Hammer never really did do much in the way of big historical epics, because they could have. I feel as if they could have delivered this sort of pocket epic hour and a half kind of thing, because obviously they were great at making do with what they had, right, and making things look like very handsome, and they were doing period stuff all the time. Excuse me. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting that there isn't a few more kind of Hammer epics, because they could have done their Witchfinder General or something like that, or
yeah.
And then the other thing is that there's quite an impressively mounted medieval torture dungeon as well, which immediately brings me to mind of that.
Yeah.
No, I would say this is actually, so obviously we've been going through this and we've been picking and choosing and watching this one. This is a very, I would say this is one of the reasons we're doing this project in a way is to kind of highlight. I mean, we'll get there. We'll do all the 70s kung fu favorites and swordplay favorites, wuxia and all that as well. But also, we wanted to show the, broad nature of what Shaw was doing across the decades. And whereas obviously we've enjoyed quite a few things, but I feel as if some of them would be slightly hard sells maybe to the lay viewer who weren't committed to a project like this or weren't particularly interested in seeing, the diversity of Shaw or whatever. But if you were to choose a early-ish as a 64 and not in the, not the straight up martial arts film, if you wanted an example of here's a good Shaw film that you can enjoy that isn't that, I think this goes on the list, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's, frankly, there's no singing in it, which is handy.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. That would be a barrier to some people, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So it's not as much of a culture clash. I mean, you could watch this just as easily as an Italian epic, let's say.
Right. Right.
As a peplum or whatever. Yeah.
But it's what I mean is also it's not even, you don't even necessarily have to, you don't have to preface it with anything at all. Just you hand someone a disc. Here's a good non-martial arts Shaw film. Check that out. That's it. That's you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to give it any context or anything. You don't have to.
Yeah, that's right.
YouTube series that lasts 65 million years to.
Yeah.
Right, Shaw Brothers 64. Here we go. Run Shaw. Right. Cool, blimey! I'm doing Run Shaw as a cockney.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I think it's probably less problematic than if I do it with the Chinese accent.
Yes, yeah. So picture,
yes, he was well known.
Did James maybe?
Yeah, let's assume Run Shaw had a cockney accent, and he came to him, cool, blimey, Mona. I've just been down the pictures, and I've seen that poor white trash. I reckon we should redo that film and tone it down and shot it in Taiwan. I played that, on the old dog and bone. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's gospel, that is.
That's how it went down. Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because Cheng Pei Pei is in this and she's cute as fuck.
Yes. Come drink with me, Cheng Pei Pei as well.
Yeah.
And yes,
I could just
not
watch
a monster, no matter what she says.
No, she's not. Although she has got a bit of a funny barnet at the start.
Right.
I don't know what's going on there.
So so this did give me poor white trash vibes, I have to say, but a lot. It's a more toned down. There's no Timothy Carey character, unfortunately, in this film. But yes, this one is simplicity itself, really, as well. A fishing village in excuse me, Taiwan. Apparently it's a real idyllic kind of tourist spot, isn't it? Somewhere in Taiwan. And so first up, I should mention that I was totally blindsided as well by this, because going by the title alone, I thought this was going to be a rock and roll musical, like a.
That's exactly what I was expecting.
Right.
Me
okay.
Too.
We were all
be like an Elvis early 60s Elvis kind of thing.
I was thinking Cliff Richard or something like that. Or Don't Knock the Rock or something.
Yeah, I wanted mini skirts, little whatever those flicky hairstyles girls used to have.
Yes.
And
lots of that.
Yeah.
And I was immediately Lovers Rock and then Rocks. That kind of rock. Oh,
it's about fishing.
Yes. And
it's all about fishing.
They could have called it Lovers Fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovers Trawler.
Stones. Yeah, Lovers Trawler. Actually, I would watch a film called Lovers Trawler.
That's true. Yeah.
Trawler of Love. That's my nickname.
the love trawler.
Yeah.
Soon they'll be catching some more fish. The love trawler.
Love trawler. I like
No,
it.
they can't catch any fish.
It needs to happen. Put that on the list of the films that we're making when we get insanely rich from the proceeds from this series.
That's the one. Any day now.
Yes, yes, bound to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cheng Pei Pei is I think she's been away as she's a student, right? She's a student.
Yes,
Yeah.
And she's returning to her little fishing village, all glammed up. She's
Oh yes, beautiful turquoise dress she has on.
Yeah.
Nice slit up the side of that. I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Some visible panty line in this film, which I was pleased to note.
Each to their own.
Curves rock. So yeah, she's back in town, and a guy on the bus with her is immediately smitten, and she's. By the way, he never did give her wallet back.
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, right at the end.
No.
Yes.
Was there a scene
Really?
when you get
I missed that.
back
Oh,
right at the end?
cool.
Or is Darren pulling our todgers?
No, I'm not. No. I'm telling you. I
threw it off the
watched
boat
this.
as he was said.
Take your fucking wallet.
Yeah. No, I watched this approximately 3 hours ago. And
Okay.
he definitely gives the wallet back.
He took his time.
Oh, he did, yeah.
That should have been kind of because the thing is, if you,
Yeah.
I was thinking, if you meet a guy on a bus and you think you're never going to see him again, bye bye, and then he suddenly turns up just looming behind you. There's two ways to go, right? There's you left your wallet on the bus, and oh, that's nice, or you just stand there and glare.
Yeah.
And you think, oh fuck, this guy's followed me off the bus. But he didn't play that well.
And then start stalking your entire family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He's not very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turns into a bit of a love triangle. So we check that's Chow Chuang, right? Is that guy?
Yeah.
And our other main lead is Huang Chong Shin, right? And he's the
rough around the edges local fisherman.
Yes.
Who's way too old. I'm sorry.
Yes.
What the fuck? And they clearly established that she's 18. How old is he supposed to be? Because he looks like he's pushing 40 in some of them.
Yeah, no, there's a hell of an age gap. It's very it's like it's not like. On the other hand, way to go. So it turns into a bit of a love.
Because there's another girl,
love triangle because he's into her. She's not really into him. They got a brother-sister relationship.
Right.
Then there's another chick, Wang Ling, right, who has a thing for him, and then there's the JD gang, I guess, who hang around.
The greasers.
They should be doing that, but they're not doing that. And then
but they've got zero menace as well.
That's true.
They are nowhere. They are nothing. I mean, okay, they get a little bit fighty at the end.
They get stroppy at the end.
Yeah, but it's like they're not exactly hoodlums, are they?
No,
I think they're all working men. I think they probably do spend most of the day trawling for love. So yeah.
Yes, and so it's a fairly simple setup, but then there's also this. It seems to be quite a dangerous fishing community. They often have these big storms, and fishermen get trapped out.
Well, yeah, I mean the title, right? The Lover's Rock comes to these kind of like I'm assuming tidally formed strange rock formations, right?
No, you're wrong. You're wrong, Nick. Those are women waiting for fishermen to come back.
That's the thing, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Were you not listening?
I was about to say that, in fact, Clive.
Right.
Local legend has it that they are women waiting for their husbands to come back from sea who never came back.
Yeah, little known fact. They're not women at all. They're actually a biker gang. And this is a remake of the other 60s film that we all like, Psychomania.
Yeah, we will.
Psychomania it is.
Yeah. Should I cut that bit, Darren? Would you like that?
No, no.
He stands by it.
I don't care. This is what people never understand about me. I don't give a shit if anyone laughs at my stuff at all. I say this stuff to
That's a
amuse myself.
handy cover story.
And that's why his stand-up comedy career has done so well.
Yeah, yeah. That's the equivalent of when you were a kid. Well, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you are, but what am I?
I'm funny. I'm interested to know overall. I mean, do we want to go into the plot much more? I suppose it is important that our too old to be with Pepe ends up. Well, it's great because like he takes a bet, right? Because he's like, no, this guy's not as stupid as you say he is. In fact, I'm going to take him on my boat and prove to you that he's not a moron. And then the moron dies, and then he doesn't come back, right? It
gets a bit dark here and there, and there's another character who dies, and his mother goes completely.
But that's the one. That's the moron.
Yeah, she goes.
Yeah, that's the.
And there's a drunken old man. Yeah, so there's, and I quite like the.
The drunken old man is great. His poor little daughter comes in. He's like, Dad, come home. And he's like, fuck off. Just like knocks her out. Like Jesus.
I quite like the local festival stuff as well. The
firecrackers on the back of the boat,
and all that stuff was good. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that I would go out of my way to watch usually. And it wasn't a rock musical with people doing that, unfortunately.
That's okay for me, to be honest.
But it was all right. This not bad at all. That's about all I've got to say about it. Really, it was solid for this kind of thing. I wasn't bored at all. I was quite enjoyed it. Interesting to see Cheng Pei come drink with me as well.
Yeah, because it would be this or one earlier film, which would be the first leading role. It might not be this, but there may be one earlier. But this is the start of Cheng Pei, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's not it's atypical as well, isn't it?
Which is by the way, so I don't know if anyone spotted, but Cheng Pei is actually in the previous film.
All right.
She's one of the dancing girls.
Oh.
As was, I forgot to mention, Lily. Yeah, she was a dancing girl in it as well.
Yeah. So they are connected apart from the year. But I found it quite quaint. Yeah. Quite easy watching. It's all right.
Yeah.
I really like although he's a total bastard, I really like the grizzled fisherman character. What's his name?
Right. He is
Huang Cheng Heng. Really liked him. I just liked his character. I don't know why.
Because it seemed quite real. You know what? I might have liked this more than either of you, actually. I got along with this better than I would have thought. By the end of it, I was like, that was really satisfying to me. I think obviously maybe being from a fishing village in Ireland, there's like there's a certain rough around the edges-ness to all of the people. The idea of this outsider trying to come in and being told at the beginning, like, it's not going to work, buddy. People have tried. There's no getting into this community. And he's like, well, I'm going to stick it out.
Peter Graves was a few years ago, and he didn't pull it off.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although we do miss the scene where the grizzled old captain character does the dance to Zydeco music. Unfortunately, that would have been good.
That would have been good. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just seemed very well observed in some way. It's like it was like a kind of kitchen sink drama, so like neo-realist. It was not what I was expecting from Shaw Brothers at all. And the other thing that really struck me was that people have been wearing hoodies for a long time.
Yeah, I thought that.
1964, and the two of them at one point they're both standing on the dock together, and one's in a black hoodie, the other's in a yellow hoodie, and they look like they bought them from Uniqlo yesterday, and they're wearing like jeans that look relatively like this is 50. No, it was 50 years ago.
64.
Yeah. Like.
Oh, sorry, 50 plus years ago. Yeah, 60 years ago. It's actually 60 years ago.
60 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I'll die on this hill. There were not fucking luminous yellow hoodies in 1964.
Except
that's fucking
there clearly are.
Fucking Marty McFly, that is.
Maybe that's the clue as to how they got there. Did you spot any DeLoreans in the background?
Well, that's the thing. And also, maybe there's some incest going on here as well. Maybe he's he's
Yeah.
trying to shack up with his mum.
But this is the thing, we joke about this, but this is exactly the kind of thing that if you would someone would put a picture of this on the internet, wouldn't they?
Oh,
Someone
yeah.
wearing a hoodie, and then they'd go, look, I found this time traveling man.
Right.
Yeah, and here's a blurry photograph of the year 3000 that he also took with 20th century technology.
Mhm.
I was watching that. There's that. What's that documentary? There was that like immense 10-part documentary. I think it's called "The Men Who Killed Kennedy" or something, right? And there's like there's a bit in it I always think is brilliant where they have this picture of the grassy knoll, right? And the camera just really, really, really slowly pans in, and the narrator's going, look, now you can see it. And then it's just a smudge. It's just turns into a bigger smudge. Doesn't look anything like a man with a rifle at all, unless you're like really squinting. And it's quite. I keep waiting for it to. There it is, but nope.
Yeah.
It's just a hedge.
Yes.
that killed Kennedy.
Yeah. Also nuggets. Information nuggets on this. Pan Lay.
The director.
So Pan Lay, the director.
Nick might not have seen
him. Yes. Nick might not have seen him before, but we have, Clivo, because he co-directed The Sword with Wang Yu. So that gives us a little bit of information about The Sword via the back door.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also Vietnamese director.
Yes.
Apparently.
Born in Vietnam, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
As was Choi Hak, I believe.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So I
sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Tsui Hak. I meant to say.
Tsui Hark. He's called Tsui Hark. Yes. But yeah, no, I thought that's an interesting thing, and also shares some cast with The Sword as well, because Wen Ling is in The Sword as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, it's interesting because as well up front they do make a big deal as well. They do say that they say it was made and shot in Taiwan, right? So it's like a consent thing there, and it distinguishes it obviously because it's not shot on the shore backlots and it's real locations, and so it's funny. I can imagine actually maybe in 1960. I mean, now we just see it as a relatively solid, not a bad little kind of romantic melodrama programmer. But I wonder, I can see maybe when it was new in 64, this might have been, had a bit more oomph to it. It might have been something that people talked about and went to see.
Yeah, well, I think according to the reviews, one of the reviews I think on HKMDB I read, goes into some at length, says beautiful locations. You can feast your eyes on the authentic Taiwanese locations.
Right.
So you do wonder actually that's not, it's like a little, come on holiday via the cinema to a quaint fishing
village.
Have
a great time. The people are so warm and inviting.
Yeah. Well, also there's a little bit of, I was thinking as well, there's a little bit of the Tayozuku Sun Tribe films they were making in Japan,
right?
In that kind of shot in those kind of slightly different vibe to those because they're all about kind of rich kids, right, rather than local fishermen and stuff. But I think we tend to forget in the age before people relatively cheap flights. Actually, now is a time where we've forgotten about relatively cheap international flights as well. But for a while there, you had a relative, prior to that, like you said, Aaron, people did go to the cinema to see the world, right?
Yeah.
See. Juvenile delinquents clicking their fingers in a Taiwanese shipping village. No, they don't do that. That kind of thing. You'll
Yeah,
believe a man can ride a boat
Is this
and crawl for love.
Yeah.
Is this the only Taiwanese film where nobody pisses in anyone else's face? Also,
it is a bit of an outlier. Yeah, they hadn't started doing that. I think it might be the show. Maybe if they'd have made it totally, maybe someone.
Then we would have had a scene where the two guys were lost at sea, and one of them's like, "Oh, what are we? You know what?"
Maybe the guy from Birmingham asked Runner and Shaw, and in this instance, again, rather than do the Taiwanese accent, I think it's safe if I do Birmingham.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Birmingham goes, run. we got to have a scene where there's like a little boy pissing in someone's mouth. It'd be hilarious. And Run goes, knock it out. No, we're not fucking doing that. We're just an idea, like. Yeah, it went down just like that.
I was like watching Slade, introduce their fourth album in 1974. Yes.
Cup of soup. Right.
That's all I've got to say. I've got nothing else to say on this one.
Well, clearly we have nothing to say because I'm doing Brummy accents. We've hit the bottom of the barrel, I think.
But I really, as a double bill, this all worked for me.
Oh yeah, good.
They're very different. The two films are very different from each other, and I thought they were both really interesting in their own ways.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can, because for the next few weeks we'll be watching nothing other than obscure Queen Sue and Taiwanese fishing village films.
Yeah. Oh fucking hell! Don't get no. We're not going down to fucking fishing films. I'm not watching. I'm not watching Taiwanese films.
That's a moist alley that stinks of fish.
Yeah,
want to spend
I'm
any
not
time
doing that.
Watch
I'm
this
not
space.
Next
time on Not in ShawScope.
No.
Prince of Haddock.